Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel and to these episode reviews. It seems like we shouldn't be reviewing this episode. Everything so far has pointed to us not reviewing this episode. This is our third. Oh God,
so
third
bewildered by it,
attempt.
you developed an accent.
God, it's terrible. This is our third attempt at recording this episode. So you better watch it because it's gonna kill us.
Mm-hmm.
This is, if you've never seen this before, we watch episodes of Doctor Who. We rewatch episodes of Doctor Who. We talk about them in hindsight, with, in some cases, 10 years past. 10 years since this episode came out. So we have so far watched 6.5 seasons. 6.5 seasons of Doctor Who. That's quite a lot of Doctor Who to go through, but we've seen it all. And we finally got to the pinnacle of Doctor Who this week with Series 7, Episode 10/11, Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS. Yay! Everyone's favourite episode. Everyone's episode that everyone saw the title and went, "Oh my God,
what
wow!
An amazing idea. Finally, they're doing the
that's
idea
gonna be so good.
Fans have had for years.
Yeah.
At last.
We'll come on to our main negatives later on, but I'm not a big fan of it. How did you find the episode overall?
I'm not a big fan of it either. It's disappointing rather than bad.
Yeah.
Which I think's worse.
Mm-hmm.
They just focus on all the wrong things, I think, and instead of actually going on a journey to set up the TARDIS, they have to deal with some shitty brothers, and then go on the journey to set up the TARDIS, which is,
corridors
in between scenes off camera.
Yeah.
They climb into a vent and then they're there. About 15 minutes of the episode left. So, it's the weakest of this season, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
It's the weakest in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just another one I'm just so frustrated watching. And there are some aspects of it I enjoy. Obviously, I think you can probably guess some of them.
Yep.
But that's not enough to justify me ever watching it again, because it's just there and aggravating to watch. And for reasons we will come on to. But I think anyone who's seen it, I think, will know what is to hate about it. So yeah, it's just a very disappointing mess, I would say.
Yep, I think that's pretty much fair. It's just, I think the main issue, which we'll come on to, is just that so much hope and so much potential for this episode, and it just sort of falls flat on almost all fronts, I think it's fair to say.
Mm-hmm.
It has been the worst in a long time, probably since mid-series 3 an episode's been this bad, which is a pretty good run. That's a good run to have some really good episodes. It was bound to happen eventually. It's just a shame that it had to be this one with the most intriguing premise, I think. But, as always, we have 3 positives and we have 3 negatives, so we will be positive about this episode first.
Briefly, yeah.
I can't imagine it will take us too long to go through the positives. But go through them we will. So what is your first positive?
My first one is the unseen parts of the TARDIS that we did see, the new ideas that were kind of presented for the lore. So the architectural reconfiguration room.
The big tree.
Which is kind of like the big tree with the big glowy seeds, which I just think is a very cool idea. I just think it's neat. This machine that makes other machines. I like that concept. And the TARDIS being very petty about it when Gregor Van Arsehole takes one of them.
Mm-hmm.
The library, probably my favourite new thing we saw.
Yep.
I think it kind of very much it's Dr. TARDIS-y.
CGI's not too bad either.
Yeah, a lot of it looks cool. A few Easter eggs in there to spot, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
It gives that scene some replay value, some rewatch value, if you want. I like the design of that place and everything. And little ideas within that, like the bottles. That's like the Encyclopedia of Gallifrey. I like that. It's just like liquid, and if you spill it, it's all pouring out. I think that's a really cool, unique Doctor Who very The actual heart of the TARDIS itself, when they get there, just like the white kind of canvas area, then the bits just floating around. I think that looks really cool. Very nice conceptual kind of stuff. I can imagine some really cool concept art for that scene.
Yep.
So the new stuff we actually are promised by the title of the episode, I do think they deliver on. Sadly, I don't think there's enough of it, and what we do see isn't long enough. it's a tease of a journey to the center of the TARDIS. I think should have been the more apt episode title. But what we do get, I really enjoy. I think there are some fun ideas in there. I just wish that was the focus of the story rather than maybe the side
rather
characters.
than what the focus of the story turns out to be. Yeah, I think that's fair enough. It does, not to turn it into a negative, but it does tease more that what there should have been in there, and it kind of feels that they were like, oh, we really want to show loads of the TARDIS, but we still want to keep that mystery. And it's like, well, then just don't do the episode if you're not going to commit to doing that. Then do it. But I do appreciate that when we get the physical rooms and they go into stuff and you see things, that's good. I'm not necessarily a fan of when we go, oh, look, a swimming pool, when you just see it through the door.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit
especially
on the
when
lazy
it's
side.
not an actual set of any kind.
But the library's good. And all the sort of hidden details in there, all the different bits of kit. I think the Doctor's cot is in there as well, isn't it? From
Good Man Goes to War. Yeah.
So there's some nice things in there for fans. And it is one of those where you can pause it and go, oh yeah, what's that?
A Target novelisation of this story.
Definitely. A Target novel would be very good because you could do all sorts with that one.
Yeah. But any scrapped ideas that probably didn't make it.
Yeah, exactly.
Pull them all in, and that'd be amazing. And,
but
just not have the brothers in novelisation would be great.
Yes, unfortunately, I don't think you can cut them from the main story.
Annoyingly not, no.
My first positive sort of leans into yours a little bit, and it's the direction of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the episode looks really good.
Yeah.
The bit where they're in the actual heart of the TARDIS, but it's all blown up and all that that looks really cool. The start of the episode where it frames the three brothers looking at the TARDIS. I think there are a lot of nice direction in this and a lot of good cinematography.
Yeah, I like the Doctor and Claire walking around the console and the camera's just following them all around. I think it's cool.
A lot of it looks really nice, and fair play that they've managed to do what they have done with this. With Clara's in the library and you can just see the weird monster thing in the background writhing around. It's horrible. But a lot of the stuff that's shot in this is good and looks good. So at least I'm not watching it thinking, oh god, can't even look at it.
Yeah.
It's at least can't even watch. But there are positives, and that is the direction is excellent, and I don't know if the director goes on to do more episodes or not. But if so, great. If not, robbed. If you ask me.
Yeah.
Oh, Liam's gonna do some live searching.
Googling.
Ooh.
Not Journey to the Centre of the Earth 2.
No, that's with the Rock film.
Yes, I can't believe they made two of those. Let's have a look. It was directed by Matt King. It's not a name that sounds...
Name does not ring a bell for me.
Too familiar to me. And he spells Matt with one T when you short him. My friend Matthew. Shout out to Matthew, who I know watches these. And also did not enjoy this episode. So
nobody enjoyed this episode.
Sadly, this was the only Doctor Who he's directed.
Has he directed other stuff?
Am I High?
Oh, okay.
Holby City, DCI Banks. So this is the only Doctor Who story, though.
That's not. I wouldn't say that's a big repertoire, but hey, if he's still out and about, this was a good episode directed. So highly recommend. What's your second positive?
My second positive is the Time Zombies.
Yeah, they're mine. I've got Monster Design. They're my third one, so same thing.
Basically the same thing. Yeah. I really like the idea of it. I think the mystery surrounding what they could be. I like the mystery. It kind of comes down to why would the Doctor want to tell Clara what these things are? Because that's horrible to kind of know your fate, and also because of everything that's going on with Clara and the mystery, he wouldn't want to just tell them that because he's still trying to work things out himself. But I guess it kind of bleeds into your first one, direction. I think that certainly helps with their impact.
Because they're very creepy and very sort of hidden away.
You never really properly see what they are until obviously the big reveal scene. And it's the classic kind of base under siege. You're being stalked by something in a tight space, which Doctor Who always does quite well. But I think the monster in particular, are quite terrifying. Particularly then when you see oh wow, it's future Clara and it's these future arsehole brothers that I don't care about. But it is still a really nice design. That's just nasty seeing just charcoaled people from the future. This is how it's going to be for you. That's just gross. So I like that. Just the design of them's cool, but the idea of them and what it means that they exist is just horrible as well. I do like that they take their time to kind of show them off and reveal what they are. And I think so many stories will just have a monster in it for the sake of it, and like, oh, this is just a thing they can run away from. But I think even the idea of these is cool, and at least they are kind of tied into the concept of the journey to the center of the TARDIS. So I think there's a justification for them being there, and that is something that the idea has spawned that I think is good in this episode, and they do kind of use the potential of that idea with the monsters at least. And they're not really around for that long, and they don't really do much in the grand scheme of things, but it is what they stand for that I think really, really works. And that's kind of the escalation point. Because how many times has the TARDIS been in danger over the years, and that bloody cloister bell going off all the time? So you may not necessarily feel those stakes. So I think the addition of the time zombies definitely adds that. To be like, oh well, this is what's going to happen. Actually seeing that their fate
when it actually happens as well. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So all of that, I think for like a one-off kind of monster idea, I think it's really cool. I do think it ties into the idea and the concept of the episode, which they don't always do. So I like that. And yeah, just the way they're shot is really well done. Yeah, in the concept, the reveal, all of that's great. And unlike Hyde, I think even when we do get a full close-up of them, they're still quite creepy and look good. And it's not played as a joke. They don't have other lovers out there waiting for other time zombies to reunite, I guess. So yeah, I really like the monsters. I think they're pretty cool.
Yep.
Ironically, because they've been burnt to death.
They are pretty hot, to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, they look. I think the main thing I've got going for them is they look really cool, really creepy, and really spooky. I don't necessarily think the Doctor needs to be all like mysterious about them. Like, just tell them, and then they could try and avoid it. Like if he told them what they were first of all, and just be like, don't stand next to each other at all.
Yeah.
Then just...
I think it would particularly help the brothers behave if he just told them.
Yeah, 100%. But sure, you need some conflict, I guess. But yeah, I mean, the design's the best bit of them, I think, and they're just very creepy, and they're a one-off villain that you can't really bring back again.
Yeah, and even if you did, it would be different.
Yes, they'd be different people. You would hope, at least.
Yeah, they just get all the same actors back.
But yeah, they're mainly creepy boys, and yeah, you mentioned that episodes sometimes have to feature like a monster just to have a monster, but these do feel like they earn their place, and this is an episode where they've got characters instead of monsters because they need characters. I think if you just have the monsters anyway, then I think you don't necessarily need the characters. You can just maybe have them, I don't know, just be the Doctor and Clara, maybe just have different versions of the Doctor
when
and Clara.
When they're the same, it kind of
justifies it. Because there's only Clara and... Is there a Doctor version?
No.
Yeah, so, I mean, it implies that he always lives through and just kills them all.
The TARDIS obviously has a favourite.
Yeah, but you could just have them be... Because they're effectively only chased by, what, three? Three of them? The one, Clara, the two Gross. That's it. Two of them, isn't it? The three.
No, I think there's three, because that guy gets killed by himself when he's on his own. And then that one, I think, is the one that gets thrown over the thing right at the start.
Right. Unless that's... Because in theory, if one of the... Skin the whole thing. If the monster technically kills that one guy, then he won't turn into the monster. So is that not the Doctor's one?
Oh, maybe.
Because if he's killed by the monster, then he's not in the room to turn into the monster. That's true. So
that could easily be the Doctor's one.
So yeah, that would make a little bit more sense. But you could still have it be that you don't need the brothers there. You could just have the two monsters and be chased by them. Maybe you have other things in there. I think there's a nude wandering around somewhere in the TARDIS, so you could be like, oh,
kill
whoopsie. You. Yeah, again. But yeah, I think they look cool, and that's the main thing.
Yeah.
What's your third positive then?
My third is the Doctor confronting Clara, that whole scene, and them kind of taking the leap together. Again, I think that's really well directed. I like that kind of the design of that space. I'm kind of realising like this is the TARDIS's defence, and like there's, it's just really trying to stop us from getting there. I like that idea. And it does feel like what they are building towards is obviously the Doctor kind of like just desperate to have this closure about the situation. Obviously, Clara doesn't get that closure because she forgets for 3 episodes.
Why does the Doctor doesn't forget?
Yeah, the Doctor never forgets.
No, I suppose so. I guess that's just it, isn't
it?
Yeah.
Apart from when Clara leaves.
Yeah.
But even then, he's got his memories back.
Even then, I don't think he has gone. So.
No, he's gone back in twice upon a time, so it's fine. But yeah, I like the Doctor just being like, well, if we're going to die, just tell me what's going on with you. Like, I can't work
Loads of people have told me there's nothing wrong, but there is something wrong, so tell me.
It clearly is, because the idea that she is just more normal, provably is not true.
Yeah.
So I like that he's still just desperate to know. But when he realizes even this Clara has no clue,
Yes, I'll ignore it
he's like, well,
for a few episodes.
thank God. Well, he only gets brought up again.
Next episode, is it Crimson Horror? At the end, they're like, how can it be the same one?
And that's the past again, wondering. He doesn't get it
Yeah, I suppose.
at that point. She just becomes the companion after this.
Yeah.
Obviously, it just gets revealed because Richard E. Grant,
Of course.
doing what he does best,
What a
causing
dick.
trouble. Iconic TikTok videos though from Richard E. Grant.
Incredible stuff.
But yeah, I like the scene between them. I feel like it's the script actually giving Matt Smith and Jenna Coleman something to do.
Yep.
To actually get their teeth into. So I like that. I do like the Doctor kind of realizing, oh, you don't know then, hooray, thank God, because it can be like now she is the companion because he likes traveling with her, not just because of this mystery.
Yeah.
So like that kind of development with that. And I guess it's nice for confirmation for the audience to know like this Clara generally doesn't know what's going on either. Just in case people have all their fan theories and stuff, which I'm sure they did.
Yep.
With the missing year in her book and stuff, they're like, oh, this Clara
yeah.
does know something's going on, she's evil.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, calm down, it's fine. So yeah, I really like that scene. I wish it wasn't immediately erased, but also because of Name of the Doctor, we do know it does come back and it is a thing. So I'm kind of fine with it now.
It's erased, but it's like dormant.
At the time, it would have been like, oh, why did they just forget it?
Yeah.
Because it's not the finale.
Yeah.
But once Name the Doctor is, I guess you can kind of know, well, it does come back, and it is kind of the instrumental way of addressing that mystery and bringing that back into that episode. So fine, but I guess it is damaging to this episode in a way of
there's no consequences.
It does feel very inconsequential by that point. But this is my positive. So I do really like that scene. I do think it is well performed, well written. And it is good to kind of address it because it's been like little teases, little lines in previous episodes, but for the director to directly address it to Clara, who obviously didn't know what was going on with his side of things, that was fun and only fun really because it comes back.
Yeah, I think that's fair. My final positive kind of links into that as well, with Matt Smith being my final positive. I think he does really well in this, especially like when he's like threatening. Anytime he threatens or criticizes the brothers, I think it's a good standout. Again, Angry Doctor is a fun Doctor. Yeah,
it's the classic. The actor playing the Doctor is always going to carry the bad episodes.
Yeah, unfortunately, but he does carry it, and we do spend a lot more time with him, I think, than Clara in this.
We will come on to that. Yes.
Yeah. So you could argue this is a companion light to some extent.
Yeah.
But I think it works well. I think how he tricks the brothers also works quite well, and and then how he realizes, whoopsie, actually the TARDIS is going to blow up. I've made a terrible mistake.
Yeah, I do like that.
I think he's great throughout, and even he shows his range with being funny in various parts to being deadly serious to being shitting himself.
Yeah.
In a number of times. And I think it works quite well. And again, it's as we mentioned previously, Matt Smith's great in the role.
Mm-hmm.
He really does show the range, and he carries the episodes that aren't the best.
Yeah,
definitely carries this one.
Definitely carries this
one. For me, have you got any additional positives?
Just the Doctor's kind of outfit variation without the coat on.
Yeah.
I just it's nice to have an episode something a bit different as a treat. Takes the coat off.
Mm-hmm.
I just standard run of the mill, but I do like when they change up the Doctor's outfit.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, probably because his TARDIS is on fire. So yeah, I think it looks cool without the coat as well. So something a bit different. Maybe some justification to check out images of this episode rather than watching it.
Yeah.
But, I do like when the Doctor has a variation to an outfit. So I guess this episode does have that going for it as well.
Fair enough. Negatives, unfortunately. What's your first one?
The brothers.
Yeah.
Everything they stand for.
Yep.
Everything they are. How much screen time they get. The fact that they are basically
the acting.
I think I can't remember who said it now. IGN's review of this episode was very positive.
Right.
They gave it like 8 out of 10. But they said like these are the worst acted brothers since the Twin Dilemma. Which if you've seen the Twin Dilemma, it's savage as hell. But it's not wrong. Yeah. You'll be
bad acting, 8 out of 10.
I was looking up the IMDb afterwards.
One of them's done alright, haven't they?
One of them isn't a writer. Some of them
Yeah.
wrote on EastEnders last year. A couple of them no longer have credits.
Oh dear.
The main brother obviously is kind of,
Yeah.
and I have seen him be good in other things. He's like really good in Hustle and stuff. So
I wouldn't necessarily say he's the worst one either.
oh,
in this.
he's the best one.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The tallest brother is the worst one.
Yeah, it's just so the acting is piss poor.
Mhm.
I would argue.
Mhm.
The characters themselves aren't written that great. And I think just their use in the episode as well, like just from the ground up, I think the concept of what they've done with
They're
this is
just
wrong.
terrible throughout, and they don't really have a redemption.
Yeah, well, they try to give one of them a redemption for no reason.
And yeah, especially when they try a little bit, like right at the end when everything's reset. But it's like he's got no reason to do that. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because the doctor's like, remember this. I'm like, cool. But we're never going to see them again, so I don't care if he's changed. But yeah, the android reveal is completely pointless.
Yeah, it doesn't make a difference, I don't think.
All it does is make unlikable characters even more unlikable. And like, we already hate these guys. Yeah. Why do we need to hate them even more?
I feel, to be fair, I don't hate the android brother. I don't think he doesn't do anything wrong. He's
the best character of the three.
He's the nicest of the three.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that this change is like makes me be like, oh my god, no. Because I don't think it's explicitly said. It said that he's a robot, but I wouldn't look at it and be like, oh yeah, he's an android, not a robot.
Yeah, it's like a messed up reveal. I thought it was just they all knew they were brothers when I went into this one, and they just convinced him like,
lol, it's like,
yeah, we consider you a brother, but like,
you're not really.
But the fact that he is by blood not only their brother, but he would have been running the company.
Yeah,
I completely forgot
isn't
that.
he? Yeah.
And I was like, Jesus Christ! Like, and he's like, it's just a joke. Sorry. Like, you fucking asshole. Like, and that was I already hated him before because of all his TARDIS chopping shenanigans.
Yeah.
So again, it's kind of pointless in how it changes the characters because we already hate them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the little shred of decency kind of thing, that's not earned at all. And I just don't think there's any payoff to that in the slightest. When he's angry at that brother for being on the machine side, he's like, I knew you'd be on the side of the machine. He is, because it's your fault that he is, because you've convinced him he's a bloody robot.
Yeah, they can't consistently do it.
Yeah, so unearned redemption for that Gregor guy. Like,
at least one guy dies. He gets his punishment.
Yeah.
But then he's still alive
and
afterwards.
He comes back afterwards anyway.
And he's still
done. Yeah, so it's so unsatisfying an arc as well. It's huge, like, off you go to your abusive dad, young Tommy from Idiot's Lantern. Like, that's a resolution, but it's not satisfying.
Especially if the doctor like remembers everything as well, and he just goes, yeah, see you later.
Yeah.
And doesn't go back and sort of like, hey guys, you need to sort this out.
Yeah. He just reset the day and off they went. And like, yeah, it's just so poorly done by all the counts, really. So yeah, I hate everything about them. But what I hate most of all is how much of this episode they kind of bleed for screen time when it could have been with Clara exploring the TARDIS a bit or doing literally anything else. Like, just have like one salvager and it's just them, maybe. I don't think you needed 3 of them. That's certainly just overcrowded.
You could have done 2.
Yeah, how does an episode with like 5 main characters feel overcrowded?
Yeah.
There's 3 shitty brothers, that's how. So it's just, they're so awful. Probably my least favourite supporting characters ever. I just hate them. They don't bring anything to it. Any other episode would probably be fine, but the fact that it's this episode that they take so much room in as well just drives me mad. And yeah, I'm sure they're lovely guys. I'm sure they're lovely blokes, but fucking hell.
Hideous.
Yeah, it's not particularly great writing for the characters. The unearned arcs doesn't help. They're very unlikable, and just made even more unlikable. But those words aren't also perhaps acted the best, unfortunately. So that certainly doesn't help. But yeah, they're just horrendous, and I hate everything about them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I just think there's no real arc, and maybe that feeds into the whole episode. There's just no real arc for them.
Yeah.
Like, they start the episode being terrible people and bullying the third brother, and they end the episode being terrible people and only slightly bullying the brother.
Yeah.
Like, there's no difference.
Oh, hooray! They don't bully him as much.
But it's not like the guy's like, oh my god, we need to each tell him the truth. What, having a bit of a scene where it's like, why? And I was like, I just think that there's no visible change. There's no like acknowledgement that they're actually better. So.
Yeah, because granted, like, an episode where you're just exploring the TARDIS, it's not gonna move
No.
any plot forward anyway. It was always gonna be a filler kind of episode.
Yeah.
But why do you need them?
Yeah.
You just don't do anything else.
Yeah. You like I said, you could just take the brothers out and you could just have the monsters. You can have the same thing, you know, maybe the TARDIS just crash lands somewhere.
Yeah.
And the Doctor and Clara get separated.
Because it damages because he turned the shield off so Clara can fly.
Yeah.
You can still use that and just like something else happens to injure it. It didn't need to be the salvages.
Yeah, and then they can be separated and the Doctor has to find Clara and we still have the same thing, but they're still being hunted by two things instead of three or whatever
and
it is.
the side characters could be good then.
Well, there would be no side characters.
Yeah.
Just monsters and the Doctor. And,
any other idea would have been better.
Yes, just don't include them.
Just don't include them.
Sorry, guys, but
rubbish.
Yeah, that's my first thing as well. So, what's your second one?
They wasted the best concept in the history of the show.
Yep. Also my name.
I think that's all you need to say.
Yeah. It is a shame. I think we touched on it before. It's such everyone thinks. Oh my god, what's in the TARDIS? I remember years ago I think maybe when David Tennant's first couple of seasons, they had a book, was like cutouts where they did one for the TARDIS where it was like a double page one, and you could see like the console room, then it had like other rooms below and stuff. And I always found that really fascinating. So you think that's what this episode's going to be. We're going to see like, oh my god, we're going to see like there's the console room, here's all the other stuff. And you see some of the bits, but it's just glossed over so quickly. Like the Eye of Harmony is like, oh, okay, done. You know, the heart of the TARDIS, as good as it is, it's just an empty room. The tree, while I like the idea of the tree, I think it's not explained very well and it seems a bit out of place.
Yeah.
Especially because you think that would be the center of the TARDIS, with it being the thing that creates everything, but it's not. It's just a second bit.
Yeah. This is what I think in our first attempt at recording this. I think I said like just from the ground up, the concept and the way they use this idea is rubbish because you want to explore on like a pristine TARDIS and see all that, but the fact that it's just wrecked and you're seeing all these new things for the first time, but it's covered in crap and dirt and all that.
All the corridors are everywhere else in the rooms.
Yeah,
pretty much fine, but the corridors are really.
It's just even that. Like we don't want to explore a damaged TARDIS that's not at its peak. Yeah. So just another reason to hate the Savages.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, we touched on it earlier, but they just have like CGI rooms. Like Clara's running away from the fire. And she's like, "Oh wow, look at that pool through that door." It's like, why don't you just go to a pool and film? You know, just do something else. Just have them. You know, go in the observatory. You know, you've filmed it in an observatory before. Just go and do it again. Just have,
it should just simply be open for us.
Well, yeah. But you know, I don't know whether it's a budget thing, whether it's cheaper to do CGI than location shots.
I imagine it's.
But you could have instead of but instead of having to run through like corridors, just have to run through rooms. Go in one, do like, oh, what's this, and just run through it rather than, oh, look through that door. Yeah. Because then it feels a bit hollow. I think a bit empty. That's why the library stands out. Yeah. Because it's all physical and it's it's a really good set.
Effort and money into it.
Well, yeah, exactly. You know, but. Yeah, it's a shame. You could have shown so much more when they had like she's in a second console room. Make it a different console room. Make it be a different. You know, we've had that before. We had the 10th Doctors in the Doctor's Wife. You know. Yeah. Do something else like that. Have her be somewhere else. But it feels like they had like 3 sets. Yeah. Maybe 4, and a white screen. Yeah. And then they're like, that'll do for this episode.
It's just like, budget. I'm sure killed. I mean, the reason season 7 was split across 2 years was because it was either we have the budget, you can do 1 season and then a year without anything, or you can split across 2 years. So obviously, I think they made the right decision to split across 2 years.
Yeah, because this is the only dud.
So this is just, I think it was just the wrong time to do this concept of an episode. I think because you just don't have the money to do it.
No. So try again. You'll have to use a different title, but
call it James Descent of the TARDIS 2.
Oh yeah, just call it James Descent of the TARDIS.
Yeah, and then delete this.
Yeah, just ignore everything else. But yeah, so what's your third negative?
Clara has nothing to do.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
This is like she's just another reason to hate the brother.
She's the audience's view into the TARDIS.
She is there to be a damsel in distress. She's there to run around and scream and ask the questions. Like it's just she's in classic Who basically. Yeah. It's the most classic Who a companion's been in quite some time in this episode, sadly. So yeah, it's just frustrating to see her basically immediately separated from Matt Smith, who I think she was amazingly well with, and she's just kind of on her own again with nothing to work with, because the script's giving her nothing to bounce off apart from time zombies, and all she can do is run away from those things. Yeah, that's great. So it's a very reduced role for her, which is unfortunate, because it just means that's so much screen time going to awful characters. is.
Yeah.
So which is why I think that scene stands out when the Doctor kind of confronts her about everything, because finally Clara actually has something of interest to do in the episode. So
Yeah,
a
and when
huge
he-
shame that she's also wasted, not just the concept.
Yeah, when he pulls her through to the other console room as well, the little conflict they have there, I think is pretty good. But that's the first time they've been on screen together for 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a shame. Yeah, I get what you mean. That's not one of my main negatives, but I do see what you mean. My final one is it's just an inconsequential episode. I know it comes back and it's like, oh wait a minute, you told me this, but you can have that conversation somewhere else.
Yeah.
You could put that in Hyde when she was like, why, what do you think about me? And just whatever, have that. But even so, I don't necessarily think it adds too much to the episode that it comes back in, other than sort of being like, oh, I need to jump in here.
Yeah, it just saves like a scene, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah, it's but this episode could have been more than that. You could have had this episode, had that scene in this episode, but still have the episode be good. And then obviously it's inconsequential for the brothers who just do nothing.
Like most episodes of Doctor Who are inconsequential, but this one just particularly stings. How it's managed.
Yeah, because at least like in an individual episode there is a arc, there's a plot, and there is characters may not have changed loads from the start, but they will have had some kind of development. They will have been, but the fact that everything just resets to how it was, I think it's big. And then they woke up vibes where
it was all a dream.
Yeah. It's unnecessary. I think you could have just had them. Have the thing be like, oh, this will just reset it all.
Yeah.
And then continue just as is. Because Clara accepts the conversation she has with the Doctor.
Yeah.
On the edge of the cliff. So it's not like she needs to forget that.
Mm.
So I just think they could have ended it maybe a little bit better. But it is what it is.
Sadly, yes.
Have you got any other additional negatives? I definitely do.
Oh, okay. I don't really, but I'm intrigued to hear yours. I'm sure I'll agree with them.
The fake panel.
What fake?
When we first go, oh, Clara's still in there, and it pans over her, and she's got the panel on her.
Oh yeah.
It's so lightweight.
Oh really?
If you look, because it's obviously just led on her legs. She must move her legs or something.
Oh no.
It just wobbles. Classic Doctor Who set design, really bad. It wobbles, and then she's got to go, oh, and take it off.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's so bad. It's not great. A bit nitpicky, but it's always stood out since I first watched this episode. I noticed that, so that's a shame. It meanders a little bit. They go round in circles a lot at the start when they're in the first bit of the TARDIS before they get to Clara. It just sort of goes round and round. I'm like, you don't need that.
Yeah, I do think the second half is better, I think.
Yes, because they get into the TARDIS and like, oh, we need to go here. Oh, you go here and you go here. Oh, we met again. Now we need to go here. Oh, you go here. And then they get Clara.
So that's the other thing with the brothers as well. From the second you meet them all, you're like, oh, we know exactly where this is going.
Yeah, they're terrible people. They're going to ruin everything. Yeah, we already touched on it. Why keep secret about the monsters? Like, the way it's built up is all like, oh, what could they be? Oh, maybe there's something that the Doctor keeps in the TARDIS. And then it's kind of like, oh, they're just...
They tease it to be something bigger than it is.
Yeah, and I think that's a negative towards that.
Yeah, that's just that inconsequential thing again.
Yeah, if he just comes out and says, look, this is what could happen to us. We need to make sure we don't end up like these.
Yeah.
Fine, just have that. And then, convenient exit. I might have blinked when he found the bomb thing.
Right.
Because all of a sudden it was in his hand. I was like,
yeah.
Where did that come from?
I think when it's like thrown and then Clara grabs it and burns her hand, he has it, he grabs it, and then he just has it. But that first time, the Doctor hasn't come through and said, you need to press that, so he doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And that's when the fix is like, okay, I need to put myself through and say. So he does have it the entire time, but again, it's just...
Yeah, I mean,
this is... know what to do with
I think this is a B-tier version of Hellbent? Heaven Sent? Heaven Sent. Where he redos and redos and redos. I think there's a version of that in here, but it's not. You don't see it. I think if they did it Groundhog Day, where they kept doing this and it just kept not working, and then something clicks, I don't know, that they could do that, then maybe that would be a bit better. But it just seems to be a bit, again,
because I think
convenient.
I think that there's something in like Clara's burnt hand, like revealing the words. I think that's a cool idea, but I don't think they don't bake it enough. No,
because it's only on her hand, and it's like, oh yeah, I guess I could change this bomb thing to be, because I don't. I think it's a control, isn't it? For the. Is it a bomb or is it a control for the magnet thing? It's
a control for the magnet because he takes it from the main guy.
So if you get rid of the brothers,
Yeah.
you've solved this. But then you don't have a whole how you're going to resolve it. But if they're in the heart of the TARDIS, which is where they're going in the first place, you'd think there'd be something there
Yeah.
to help do it. But especially with all the explosion stuff, you could just be like, the Doctor's like, oh yeah, I can make something out of this that will reset the TARDIS, something like that.
Yeah.
But it's a time machine, so I guess you have to kind of get time travel and a time loop in there somehow to make it worthwhile. But I think it could have been done better than it was.
Yeah.
I think that's it for my sort of negatives, unfortunately, I guess. I did like. I'll tell you what, a positive is there when the guys like break in the TARDIS console room and there's loads of nice voice cameos and stuff. I thought that was quite nice.
If you're wondering what they were, stay tuned.
There you go. I did like that. I liked I did like the history of the Time War book.
Yep.
Thing that's there. Although I didn't get why Clara's like, oh, that's who he is, or something like that, as if it was something. Who. Yeah, as if
because
she
says later, like, I read your name. Like, that's a weird thing to say if you read someone's name.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, but she's never shown any interest in wondering who he actually was. So it's like, oh, how would you know that's it? And it says the Doctor, aka blah blah blah. But then obviously later on it's like we know him as the War Doctor, and that's why. So I don't.
Maybe that's like a leak through they didn't kind of correct of like Victoria and Clara was originally going to be like the main companion, and she was a bit more interested. in Doctor Who. Maybe
that's something. But you could even be like, oh, so that because she doesn't know anything about the Time War. You could have just had it be like, oh my god, he did what? And then be the thing. Be like, she's like in shock of what he did during the Time War, and then forget, and then you could tie that into Day of the Doctor, and then with the Doctor where she remembers what, she's like, oh my god, I have to jump through this so that you do this, so that you stop them, something like that. But it's a similar thing with the Time Zombies, where it's like it's such an interesting thing that they've teased, and then it's not as interesting resolution. Which again you could really put it in the whole episode. It's such an interesting thing to tease, but the resolution and the consequence of it is just it's not as good as it could have been.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for our positives and negatives.
That's it.
Have you got some fun facts to redeem this episode?
Maybe not redeem, but I do have some fun facts.
Add a layer of depth to this episode.
Yeah, add some context maybe. This is the first time a new room in the TARDIS that wasn't the console room or a corridor is seen since the Christmas invasion with the wardrobe. And he gets changed.
I really like that wardrobe as well.
Yeah, it's a nice set. You'll be surprised by this one. The title was influenced by the book Journey to the Center of the Earth. No way,
which, funny enough, off camera is right here. Right down there, by
Jules
Verne.
You'd have thought.
On my little stack of classics.
Technically, it's your fault.
It is, Jules Verne. Can't wait for 20,000 Leagues Under the TARDIS.
Oh.
That'll be the next one.
Oh, yeah.
Around the TARDIS in 80 days? Around the world in 80 TARDISes?
Can you imagine? Well, when we have 80 Doctors, then...
Yeah, 60th
I
anniversary.
suppose we technically do.
You could already do that, yeah.
God,
you could do Around the TARDIS in 80 days and do a similar thing.
I think there's something to that.
Yeah, you could do a similar thing for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1984. They can go to 1984.
Yeah,
I'm sure they have.
TARDIS Island, Treasure TARDIS. Yeah,
Frankenstein they've already done.
Frankenstein's done.
Haunting of
any Cyberman story, it's Frankenstein.
Basically.
Oliver Twist. Oh, we've had Charles Dickens. Sherlock Holmes we've had as well.
I hope you can guess what all these books are that we're looking at here.
Yeah.
But anyway. This is the first time in the revival the Doctor is seen closing the TARDIS doors via the console, which is the standard way it was done in the classic series.
I can't remember that.
I can't remember it either, but it happened.
That must be when the brothers are in. He's like, lol, because isn't he like, we need to get out of here because it's gonna blow up, and he's like, psych, and he
don't
shuts the
think
door.
So. Yeah, so that's fun, I guess. The opening titles are slightly altered to show the TARDIS shaking as it flies, as if affected by the magnograph. I also didn't
take
notice
your word
that
for it
because I skipped the intro because it's on BBC iPlayer.
Amazing.
But that's fine. I guess that's fun. But for any episode you're going to do a tie-in, this really. But there you are.
Didn't get Jack on the TARDIS for Utopia, but we get this.
Yeah, that would have been great if they did that in Utopia.
It's the only thing missing from Utopia.
Yeah, it's true. This episode aired on Jenna Coleman's 27th birthday.
Oh, good.
The startling revelation that Jenna Coleman's 37 now.
Oh, God.
That makes me feel very old.
She was only a year older than us now. Well, not quite a year. A few months older than us now.
So, the passing of time is scary.
It's
Jenna Coleman doesn't age, really. So
no, to be fair, only 10 years ago, and she looks pretty much the same.
That's
what money does for you.
Yeah, and thank God it does. As the TARDIS leaks the past, the voices that can be heard in order are Susan in An Unearthly Child,
Of course.
the Third Doctor in Joe Grant in Colony in Space,
Amazing.
the 11th Doctor in Adris in The Doctor's Wife, the 4th Doctor in The Robots of Death, the 9th Doctor in Rose, Martha in Smith and Jones,
Genghis
Amy...
Khan.
Yes, that's the one, yeah.
That money box one.
That's
God
why I
damn
remember
it.
that line, because
Yeah.
he always said it in the money box. And how come you sound like you're from the north?
Lots of
I'm
bloods
from
from
the
the
north.
Bloody money
Iconic
box.
merchandise.
I've got that somewhere.
Yes. So Martha and Smith and Jones, Amy in The Beast Below, Ian Chesterton in An Unearthly Child, and the 5th Doctor in Time Crash. So I like that that's kind of properly canonised in this episode. So that's fun.
Good. Justice.
Yes. Clara is seen finding the Doctor's cot from A Good Man Goes to War, and one of Amy's TARDIS models she made as a little girl, which was a holdover of a previous concept for the scene, where she'd find lots of items belonging to previous companions, which would have been so cool, but maybe they realised, all this stuff doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, maybe
We
they
can't do
thought that. Maybe they also thought, well, we're doing that in the 50th anniversary, because they have a little
That's true,
similar
yeah.
scene, don't they, with the Black
reason.
Archive.
Yeah. The Eye of Harmony and the 7th Doctor's umbrella are also seen. This was originally the 11th episode in the series, but was swapped with the Crimson Horror.
Well, technically, if you believe iPlayer, it is the 11th.
iPlayer is the only one that says it. iPlayer is wrong.
Come on, BBC, get your house in order. God
Yeah,
damn it.
honestly. Disgusting.
Of all the things you're doing wrong right now, this is the worst one.
Beyond the title provided by Moffat, Steve Thompson was given free rein with the plot of the episode, originally planning for a group of school children on the trip to be the ones who hijack the TARDIS.
Oh, hijack. I was like, if they got lost there, that might have been fairly interesting.
No, sadly not. They were just going to stumble on them.
Yeah.
Moffat objected, and Thompson came up with the salvage crew concept instead.
You made a terrible mistake there, Moffat.
Well, don't worry, because they do it later in The Forest of the Night.
Yeah, you're
another
not wrong.
really good episode.
Yeah.
Ashley Walters' character Gregor was initially going to be a cyborg, while Jarval Hall's character was named Sander rather than Tricky. Walters came into conflict with producers on his first day on set when he tweeted a picture of himself in costume. Whoopsie! And then finally, filming took place between the 4th and 24th of September 2012. Jenna Coleman fell ill on the 17th, and effect and insert shots were filmed that day to make up for her absence. She returned to set on September 19th.
She knew the episode was bad, and she was like, I'm getting out of it.
So yeah, it pleases me greatly to know that they filmed this episode during my birthday, and they did all the special effects and post stuff on your birthday.
Oh, look at that.
Thank God they made this episode over our birthdays in 2012. I'm so pleased.
Oh, God. We're linked to this.
Yeah.
We're literally
we are
our destinies entwined with journey to this episode of TARDIS.
So that sucks. At least, the Magician's Apprentice did air on my birthday a couple of years later. So
yeah,
I don't
think I've had anything air on my birthday. Because
mine's the only time.
Mine's October 20th, so it's an annoying time. Halloween Apocalypse was obviously Halloween.
Yeah, so that's
I don't think anything, because they didn't used to put them on in the autumn. It would be a spring, wouldn't it? So I've never really had it.
Yeah, that's why I never had it for years.
I have to Google, but you never know.
Yeah, I'm sure a classic series might aired
on Classic Who wasn't.
If you're lucky, maybe Meg was aired on your birthday.
I mean, Classic Who wasn't around when we were born, so
true. But
it would have. Yeah, true. Yeah,
retroactively. But
not had a Doctor Who birthday party, unfortunately.
No.
Which, if that ever happens, I will. No matter what age I am, could be 50. I will make people dress up.
I was going to say this year, but I feel like you'd have a Barbie themed one this year.
No, the second Spider-Man game comes out on my birthday this year, so it's a Spider-Man theme.
You're not having a party.
No, exactly.
You're playing Spider-Man.
Yeah, sorry guys.
And I understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's on that bombshell. That is our fun facts.
Yes. One thing left then this week. Out of 10, what are you going to give Joan the Threat of the TARDIS?
I've put 4.5.
Yeah, so 4.5 was my immediate inclination as well.
Yeah, it's just, again, I don't think it's like categorically like, oh, this is bad television for the most part. But it's just so
there's enough wrong with it for you not to want to watch it again.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not like the worst thing I've ever seen.
No.
Just in the context of the show, I think it's poor.
It's not my least favourite episode we've rewatched on this.
I think it's ever. I don't think it's my least favourite episode.
No, and I think there are definitely worse ones to come.
Yeah. I think this is worse than almost all of Jodie Whittaker's era, if that puts things in perspective. I think that's fair to say. And people that disagree, you're wrong. Yeah. It's your opinion, but you're wrong. However, next week, The Crimson Horror. Yes. A classic episode that sees the return of Best Boy Strax.
Yes, thank
you. Hooray. God. I think that it sees the Doctor and Clara investigate a sweet factory,
Sweetville. It's
Sweetville, which is a factory town.
It's like an idyllic town kind of. Like, please
Yeah.
move here. It's
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah, kind of like we live in Swindon, kind of like the railway village and the Great Western Railway Works. that
Exactly
live in
the same.
Swindon, where they all worked at the same place, and they all lived in the village next door, which
Mhm.
I think is the same sort of thing for this, except obviously in this one, they're all kept preserved in jars.
Well,
So
as they are in Swindon.
yes, yeah. If you go in any of them, they're all preserved in jars.
Yeah.
What do you remember about this episode? Are you excited to rewatch it?
I am. I've always really enjoyed this one. I think this is like silly Doctor Who at its best. I think.
Yes, yeah.
I remember a review saying like this is the episode it seems like Mark Gatiss has always wanted to write. I do think I agree.
Mhm.
It's a very Mark Gatiss kind of affair.
Yep.
He likes doing ones like set in the past mostly, and just leaning into the silliness and the campiness that Doctor Who can be. And it's certainly that. We have a very camp villain on our hands.
Yes, and for the longest time we've both quoted Mr. Sweet.
Mr. Sweet,
where you going?
Where you going?
That's just been in our vocabulary, I think, since the episode bloody aired.
Probably.
10 years ago.
So yeah, we've been saying that for a long time. It's always fun when you reach kind of a moment we quote all the time.
Oh yes.
So that's going to be exciting to get to that.
Another Game of Thrones alumni as well.
Yeah, who sadly passed away last year.
Yes, yeah.
So that's sad. And her real life daughter playing her daughter in the episode, which is fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll be a fun fact. I haven't looked them up yet.
If it's not, you can write that down now.
That's true.
You can quickly edit Gallifrey.
Yeah.
Gallifrey? Is it Gallifrey Wiki?
TARDIS Wiki or something.
There we go.
I think Gallifrey Base.
Gallifrey
Forum
Base.
used to be called.
TARDIS Wiki. Yeah. Sure.
Who even knows? I stay away from Doctor Who fans online now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoy seeing obviously the Paternoster gang again and their shenanigans because it's Doctor Light and Clara Light really, at least for the first half.
Especially in the first half of the bloody Target novelisation.
Yeah.
That's what I'm interested in. After I've read the Target novel, I don't think it's the best Target novel I've read, so I'm very curious to go back and watch this and see if my opinion of it is impacted by that.
I think it would be an interesting question about like what stories are suited best on certain medium. Like should every book be adapted into TV? Probably not.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So I am intrigued by that. It's like I bought Peter Pan yesterday, and I was reading the introduction of that, and it was a stage play first, and it was so popular. And the book only was popular because people loved the play so much. And I didn't know it was a play first.
That's like I read Wizard of Oz, and so many people die in Wizard of Oz that you don't see in the film.
Because they needed the curtains to be closed so they could swap the sets back to London for the end of the play. And they're like, let's throw some pirates in. Let's call him Captain Hook. Let's call him Smee. And obviously they're kind of integral to Peter Pan now. So things happen for a reason. So yeah, hopefully I do think Crimson Horror is at its best as an episode.
Yep.
I can't wait for the Thomas joke.
Yes, I forgot about Thomas.
How could we forget?
Oh my god. Stracks at his best once again.
And yeah, I
We're
think
going to the north.
the north. That I quoted that when the next time trailer was airing. It's like every time. Rent free. Oh, Stracks.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think there's probably danger of Clara having nothing to do again because I don't really remember anything.
Yeah, because she's much like the Doctor is preserved.
Yeah. I remember there's a reference to Tegan in the episode, so that's nice retroactively now that she's returned multiple times if you count the box set trailers. Yeah. So yeah, I am excited for it. I've always really liked the goofiness of it, particularly because heaviness is due to come quite soon. And yeah, I'm just going to enjoy the ride before I have to put up with more annoying children in an episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that will be it for this week. Unless there's big breaking Doctor Who news, which there may be. They've been pretty quiet recently. Yeah. So
maybe we do something.
There was Doomsday yesterday, but we won't talk about that yet. I'll only talk about Doomsday, I think, when the book comes out, which is in a couple of weeks. So maybe you'll be saved until then.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll be it for us this week, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.